Right then, this is a walk around video and this is for a wonderful looking car. This is a Lexus CT200F Sport, which looks glorious, finished in white because it's got the darker alloys, privacy glass. Really lovely car. Going around the front for you, lights and lenses are clear, intact, no cracks, no condensation. Front bumper very clean. Likewise, bonnet of the car hardly exhibits a mark or stone chip anywhere on there at all. Near side of the car, really smooth in the panels. Near side front alloy, generally good. There is obviously on the outside edge there has been some curbing, and whoever's had the car has obviously touched in where they've done that, which is nice to see. But there is a little bit there, but you'd expect that on a car of these kind of age and mileage that the vehicle is. But generally good. Same with the back wheel, that's really good indeed. And then around the back of the car, bumper really clean. That isn't a stone chip, that's just something's fallen onto it. Off side of the vehicle, driver's side, again absolutely superbly smooth in the panels. Off side rear alloy, again fantastic condition. Mainly panel work, absolutely superb. And then final alloy, again really good, just with the odd minor sort of touch in on the outside edge of the wheel, but really is in absolutely fabulous condition. It's coming into the back of the car now, always beautifully finished by Lexus. They do a very nice job of this, all been kept very well. And underneath here you have this extra sort of stowage area hidden away underneath, so a lot more capacity than it actually initially looks. It's coming to the back of the car now, full black leather interior on the car, and it is in absolutely superb condition back here. Not always the case, because obviously they can be used as family cars, but some are quite heavily used, but that's been treated very gently indeed. Coming on the front passenger side, again wonderfully clean. Passenger seat again, absolutely beautiful condition. Coming in on the front passenger side, on the driver's side rather, again door really good. They always have a slight tendency to just, I don't know, it's just a ripple very slightly. That's where your elbow goes, where you open the door, and that is far better than most of this age. They can be very rippled indeed. Electric driver's seat, obviously that's got memory settings as well. Again in absolutely super order. So inside the car now, engine's running through this section, so the dash is always can be seen illuminated, and what a fantastic interior it is. This obviously is a car equipped with sat-nav, which is a major option on this vehicle. All working exactly as it should. And as in the road test video, you can tilt that at different angles for glare, and you can pop it away if you so wish as well, but all working exactly as it should. But the rest of it, I mean, it really is one of the best interiors you're ever going to see. It is just a wonderfully and beautifully built interior. Works absolutely superbly. Let's come across the main, just release the foot brake there for you. You can see 59,426 miles, and there are no warning lights, obviously, aside from the low fuel lights, which obviously putting fuel in will soon get rid of. When you're in economy or normal mode, that's your dash. If you go into sport mode, that's your dash, which I absolutely love. So you get the rev counter instead of the eco meter. But it really is in absolutely super condition in here. Right then, this is a quick road test video on a particularly soggy day and particularly wet roads, so it might be a bit splashy. This is for a Lexus CT200F Sport, registered GU62LXC, and the mileage currently showing at 59,420 miles. As we always say, I mean, the reason we do these videos are very simple indeed. We basically want anyone that's looking online at our cars advertised to actually see the car they're looking at in operation. And the reason we feel it's important is very simple. We know, unfortunately to our costs, just how frustrating it can be to go and see a car which can look perfectly good in the description, but only to get there and find out it's got a fundamental issue that shows up whilst driving the car. So that's why we do it. We also do it on these very quiet country roads. This actually forms part of the road test route we take prospective buyers on. So the reason we do the video on it is hopefully then it'd be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. Firstly, a bit of an admission. I'd like to say this is a impartial video. Far from it. I own a CT200. I absolutely love them. So if I go completely over the top about the car, do excuse me, but I really, really, really like these cars. But to go through the cars, I always do, starting with the engine or hybrid system. Obviously you've got a power button start, so just press the button and it whirs into life, normally silently depending on the charge, which is uncanny. You just press the button and there's kind of no noise, normally speaking, but if things cold or low on charge, then it'll just kick the engine in as and when it chooses to do so. Lexus, quite cleverly in terms of marketing, now refers to these as self-charging hybrids. The reason for that is because obviously lots of modern electric cars have, you know, kind of built-in range anxiety, as people like to call it these days. As with a normal combustion engine car, the only thing you can run out of in these cars is petrol, so it just drives exactly the same. And that's the beauty of these things, and the way this car works. The interaction between the engine and the battery, you know, it can be using both, it can be using one, or, you know, or the other. I mean, it is simply witchcraft in the way Lexus get it all to work together so seamlessly. It is simply genius, and all working perfectly in the car as you'd expect. There are 3 modes of driving. To my utter shame and embarrassment, I didn't even realise it had that on the first one we had, and the reality is, sorry, got a big puddle here. There we are. So actually, when I first drove the first one we had, I actually thought it was a little bit slow and couldn't see what all the fuss was about, and then realised I was in eco mode, which is slower. You know, the whole point of it, really. So around town, it's perfectly good. So on this button here, twist it to the left. I'm now in eco mode. Got to put your foot down a bit further to get the thing to get up and go. Press it. I'm now in normal mode, which is kind of halfway house between the two. And in both of those modes, you've got this lovely dash with an eco meter on the left, and a sort of blue hue going around the dash there. If I twist it again around to the right, suddenly it's gone red. I've got a rev counter, not an eco meter, and it really picks up much more quickly. And it's the mode I tend to have mine in pretty much most of the time, in all honesty. For what I lose in fuel economy, which is marginal, it just makes it just a much more pleasurable thing to drive on a daily basis. And it is brilliant the way these things work. And in conjunction with the automatic, which is CVT, of course, the whole experience is, and I keep using the word seamless, and that is how it feels. Because the thing that you notice, especially after going out of a conventional car, is just how silky smooth everything is. You put your foot down, revs pick up, and you kind of catch up with the revs. But it is so smooth in the way it does it, and in particular, actually, kind of around town, where even the best automatics can get a bit confused, feel a bit clunky in their interaction with the throttle. These are just so sweet when you're driving around town on and off throttle. It's a beautiful car for town driving, but also for the open road as well, because I've done many a long trip of ours. There are no warning lights, by the way, on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. Engine, gearbox, all working absolutely perfectly, really are. Just swing around here. Steering on the car, which is one of the reasons I really like the car, because it's got quite a dynamic feel about it. A really good front end on the car. Steering's really nicely weighted. It's got kind of heft to it, but it's very direct, very precise. Track's dead straight. There's no vibrations at this speed or any speed up to legal limits. All good there. But that and the chassis, it's much more dynamic than your normal Lexus. You know, it's got a real verve to the chassis, but retains a lot of comfort. It's a very comfortable car indeed. I think it's got the right side of the comfort, if you like, with the ride is kind of firm but nuggety. It's very well damped, but it allows you to attack corners, but it always feels settled and comfortable in the way it goes about its business. What I'm looking for on road test, by the way, is any kind of nasty sort of clonks or rattles coming from underneath the car, which is unlikely on a Lexus, but it's possible. The bumper just about to hit here, there is particularly bad for them, but it's perfect, absolutely perfect. Just going to check the brakes on the car, make sure no one directly behind me. Give it a really nice shove. Really good brake pedal on the vehicle, good initial bite, and there's no pulsing or vibrations coming back through the brake pedal at all. Worth pointing out, the car tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be going for a brand new independent MOT, so all these things are going to be checked anyway. Coming inside the car, setting aside the interior itself, the first thing you notice about pretty much any Lexus when you get into them is how sensationally well made they are. It is a brilliantly put together car, absolutely brilliant. And when we bought our first one a year or two ago, it was when I've had now 2 or 3 CT200s in a row, which is why I've really, really warmed to them. I love this interior design. It is really, it's kind of roomy in its own way. But what it is, it's got an intimacy to the dash design, which I really love. The labelling of everything is beautifully done. The precision of every control you touch is really satisfying to the touch. It's got a very high quality feel about everything you touch on the vehicle. I liken it to a hi-fi system from years ago. I know that's an old-fashioned word, but it really does have that wonderful feel of every single thing you press and feel. That beautifully damped sensation to it. This obviously is a high-spec F-Sport. Obviously the sat-nav not standard on these vehicles, but it's here, all working perfectly. And what's really nice on these, if the sun's a bit glary, you can press the button there to tilt it, different angles, and if you don't want it up, just press the button down and it closes up for you. And so really nicely done. Heated seats, all working perfectly. Dual zone climate control system, pumps out absolutely ice cold air. So all fine and dandy. And then, as I said, that wonderful dash binnacle in front of me. Steering wheel, just the perfect size, perfect rim in terms of the feel that you get. Leather stitching, really nicely done as well. It's always nice for people to say thank you, isn't it, in this day and age? But maybe some people just didn't see me. There we are. But yeah, it just feels like new to hold. Obviously, again, very highly equipped. You've got hands-free telephone, cruise control, again, all working perfectly as well. But it really, it's a fantastic car. But I warned you, I might be getting a bit over-enthusiastic about it. As I said at the start of the video, the video is just to show up of any issues actually that might be there. There's nothing. It drives as solid as a rock and as tight as a drum. I can reel off cliche after cliche if you really want me to, but it is a wonderful, wonderful car. Whoever gets it next will be getting a very, very, very fine car indeed.